Hey everybody, Jared here. I hope you're doing good. I've got just a couple things I want to go over today that I'm kind of irritated about. One in particular having to do with comments made by Mayor Eric Adams out of New York. Quite frustrating. My hat doesn't look like it's straight there. There we go. His comments around deporting criminals. So I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but I got a couple other things I want to go over. He's got the total wrong perspective in this. I'm going to explain why. Okay, a couple little opening things I'll talk about before I go into that New York issue. Let's see, Daniel Penny. I'm sure you guys heard about that American hero who was found not guilty by the jury, which was the correct call. There's a bunch of machinations going on inside the court there that were not really great in terms of the charges and some of the things the judge did to try to manipulate a guilty verdict. Pretty crazy, but the truth prevailed. That was really good. But one thing I want to point out with that is, although it's a win, I wouldn't consider it a remarkable win. I think it's great for Daniel Penny, and it's exactly what he deserved. But what is disappointing is that somebody, an American citizen, a hero like Daniel Penny, can go into a situation like that. You get into a subway. I ride the metro a lot in DC, and feel very comfortable with it. New York's kind of a different story. It used to feel fine. Last time I was there, it didn't feel fine. And so when you're in a situation like that, you don't want people to question, oh my goodness, am I going to be held liable for this? It's like trying to help anyone, even in a restaurant. If someone's choking, should you help them? Should you not help them because of the potential liability? And in this particular case, it is a win for Daniel Penny and it's a win for America, but it's also not a win because the guy's life was completely torn apart. He faced the fears and the threat of prosecution and even some serious results in his life. He had just the fear and the anxiety of that, along with not just him but his family. And it's not a win when something like this ends up going to trial. He never should have been tried. This should have been obvious. And so I would say from that standpoint, we still have some yards to make up in terms of how we're handling this kind of thing in America. This Luigi how do you say it? Mangione, Mr. Eyebrows, I call him. He actually, his eyebrows actually are the reason why he ended up getting caught. I don't know if you guys read about that, but somebody eating in McDonald's recognized him from his eyebrows. Pretty crazy. Here's the sad thing about this story. A couple things. Number one, he's going to have support. He is going to have support because there are so many people that are upset at this whole. You can call it CEOs, you can call it big businesses, you can call it big whatever, big pharma, big medicine, big tech, all these different things. They're upset, and I think it's quite interesting because the left is primarily who's driven us to this with their policies, and it puts humans in this spot where when you're living under tyranny, your only response or your only option is to protest. And protest in America is legal. You can peacefully protest. You can let your voice be heard. That's really, if there is a significant purpose for the First Amendment, it's your ability to speak up against tyranny. And in this particular case, this Mangione felt like his voice wasn't being heard, or the collective voice of the people were not being heard. And so he basically went vigilante. He took matters into his own hands, and he feels justified about it. If you read his manifesto, I think that's pretty clear. I think there's one obvious thing that is going on with this. This man wanted this thing to go to trial. And I think the reason why, and this is me conjecturing, I believe he wanted to go to trial because he wanted to go into discovery with the United Healthcare. And there's something that he wants exposed. And maybe it's nothing specific, but maybe, just their methods of doing business or their ability to do discovery. Now, I will say that I'm not incredibly impressed with his attorney. He definitely doesn't seem like he's as rock solid as, for example, some of the attorneys that represented President Trump, who are amazing and very, very smart, very well spoken. Were comfortable in front of a camera and being able to articulate the laws. From what I've seen from Mangione's attorney was not that. So we'll see. I'm sure that he'll have a team of attorneys, and this will probably end up being like a O.J. Simpson type trial. But sadly, I think he's going to have support because there are people around the country who think that what he did is a good thing. And they feel like, hey, this is what you have to do when, things don't go your way. And it's really sad that people think that way, but it's going to happen, unfortunately. When you have people running around this country who are supporting Palestine, running around with Palestinian flags. Palestine's not a country, by the way. It's a place, but it is not a country. It's not a people. But when you have people running around America, shouting "Free Palestine," that there are people out there who will support Luigi Mangione. So, okay, just a couple other things before I get into this thing with Mayor Adams. Biden pardoned about 1,500 people this week. Some people are conjecturing that there was just a few dirtbags in there that he wanted to sort of hide. And so if you pardon a lot of people, which has never been, 1,500 has never been done in a day before. I think the top of max before that was, I don't know. I want to say it was around 400, but maybe somebody can correct me if that's wrong. But I think Obama pardoned like 400 people in one day before he left office. But 1,500 is a lot, and it doesn't sound like it's over. It sounds like the pardon list is getting even longer here. Pretty sad. These preemptive pardons, by the way, in my opinion, are unconstitutional. I don't believe personally, as I read the Constitution, that you can be pardoned for a crime that you have not yet been tried for. And if you go back a year, I said that the Biden should allow Hunter Biden to be prosecuted because during that time, because then his dad would have the ability to pardon him. I didn't realize the creativity of the left and thinking, well, let's just, and some people say that Nixon was pardoned preemptively. We've never prosecuted a president in this country before. We've never prosecuted an elected president. So anyway, I don't compare those two to be the same. It was also very specific. Nixon's pardon was very specific. This one for Hunter Biden covered, I think, around 10 years. It was basically like he gets an immunity stick for anything he did during that period. Here's the reason why the Hunter Biden, just getting off this 1,500 thing for a second. The reason why Hunter Biden's pardon doesn't bother me is, number one, okay, we know the guy's a dirtbag. The whole family is a bunch of dirtbags. They're literally this Biden crime family. The amount of millions of dollars that have been flowing into this family is probably second only to Clinton's. The just amazing theft of American assets that these people have taken. But this one in particular, here's the thing. Every father would do this for his son, okay? But that's not the main point. The main point is this. Hunter Biden, the pardon may forgive him and free him from anything that he has done, but it doesn't change who Hunter Biden is. This guy is a disaster, and he will not stop being a disaster because he was forgiven for past disasters that he did not pay the price for. So just let Hunter Biden hang himself, because that's exactly what he's going to do. Pray for him. I hope he turns it around. I hope this is like a huge come to Jesus opportunity for him, but I doubt it. Pelosi's in the hospital. I don't know what for. Evidently, she got sick on some foreign travel. Who knows? She might have ate some balut or something. McConnell fell again and is continuing to have these little speaking seizures. How this guy is still in Congress is amazing to me. It's sad that these people just hang on with these literal death grips to their power. But and I'm certainly not wishing any ill for anybody, but I am thankful that at least there is at least these people can't serve after they finish their life, because if they could, they would figure out a way to do it. Let's see. One final thing before I talk about Mayor Adams and his lunacy that he's trying to play here in New York is drone warfare. It changes everything. I said this years ago, and I continue to say this: drones change everything with regards to protecting Americans and protecting American assets. It allows us to completely reconfigure what our warfare looks like. We have much less of a need for mass forces as we have had in the past. Doesn't mean that I want to defund our system of protection at all. I still think we need it, but we can start to transform that into a different type of more modern war machine. And the drones are changing everything. I mean, we think about this: a drone is a robot is a drone. If these things can do the things that we're seeing they can do, even just this last week, it changes the entire landscape. There is very little reason for American lives to be put in harm's way in future warfare starting now. It's amazing. This totally changes everything. In terms of the threat, it's quite interesting, and I would argue that I will be utterly shocked and dismayed if our military force, if our protection systems here in America do not protect us from some sort of mass drone warfare. Here's the reason why. We know that there are supersonic missiles. We know that countries like China, for example, have the ability to launch weapons into space, travel through space at supersonic speeds, and re-enter the atmosphere. That means they could launch somewhat undetectable forces above us and re-enter. And let's say that it was some kind of a spaceship that contained a bunch of drones that could be over our country in a very short period of time, and we could be under threat. I've said that for years. That has been true and reality for years. Now, I believe that was one of the biggest reasons why, when President Trump was in office, he put such an emphasis behind the Space Force. The other thing is, and we've also talked about this or in the past, is container ships. Those do have customs methods that they go through. They come in, they get, the containers get open, they get inspected. Not all of them do. Some of them have bypass mechanisms for that. But here's the thing: that doesn't happen until they hit the dock and until those containers get off the dock. There's no reason that those containers or container ships or ships in general couldn't be carrying drones on them that are coming from other countries. So obviously there needs to be a mechanism to get these drones, the small ones, to get them from their home country to America. These balloons or whatever the loons, the balloons are also another mechanism for doing that, because they can carry a lot of weight. And so they can put drones on those that can go out and do reconnaissance work, or even worse, they can do warfare. Many of you have probably seen this, but in Ukraine, they're using drones to hunt for their war. So they're launching some kind of weapons right off of the drones. Drones are very advanced nowadays, and it's something that we ought to be concerned about. So that's my point with that, is just that drones, robots, all this stuff. I'm sure you guys have seen the Optimus from, I guess that's being introduced under Tesla. I didn't see anything in their announcements for their stock with that, but I think it is. I think the Optimus is under Tesla, so hopefully that'll have an effect on the stock for that. But It's pretty amazing. Catching tennis balls, walking and running down like a sort of a wooded slope with shrubberies and bush and all kind. I mean, it's pretty amazing that they can get a robot to do that. So uh, I think it's interesting because you can make robots. Like, for example, Amazon has robots that can deliver packages, but they're like I would say they're more like R2D2, the little shorter, you know, little dome kind of thing, and they don't have legs, and so they're limited in terms of the types of services that they can go over. They're certainly not going to go walking through the woods. That's not going to happen. But it is kind of interesting, and I think you have to give a little bit of credit to God here for the human design. I've always thought it was weird that humans being upright people, that we are able to just kind of get up. We get up off of our chairs and we walk around on 2 feet, holding our whole body up in balance and all. It's without even thinking about it. It's really an amazing mechanism when you think about it. You have very little small contact patches under your feet, but it holds your whole body up, and you can balance and you can run and you can jump and you can do all these things. It's pretty amazing. Just thinking like there's a ball flying at you, you're able to see it and calculate in your mind to meet where that thing's going to land. And I was never very good at that, but you can catch a ball or something that's flying at you. You can see, you can move to avoid an object. How everything works is pretty amazing. And so to replicate that into a drone is actually way more difficult, into a robot is way more difficult than just making a robot. Like, make a robot that moves things around. Just, okay, well, put it on wheels and do, it doesn't have to be shaped like a human, right? It's in our minds that we want to shape a robot like a human. And that's what they're doing. And so I think they deserve credit for that. And obviously God deserves credit for the amazing design that he's given us. He has not limited us to anything. He's built this earth for us, and then he gave us these God-made bodies that can explore the earth, can dominate the earth, and can take dominion of the earth and everything in it. It's pretty amazing. The brains, the bodies, everything. I don't know, it's just a little digression there. Okay, New York Mayor Adams. I'll get into this since I'm now 18 minutes in. I'll get into my main topic here, which is actually not going to be very long. I just want to point something out for you. Okay, New York Mayor Adams is in trouble. He was indicted for some evidently illegal activity. I have no idea if it's real or not. My guess is it probably is, but maybe not. We'll see. He is a Democrat. So there's this, we have Tom Homan, who's going to be appointed. He was appointed by President Trump. He's going to get approved, hopefully, by the Senate. And he's going to be responsible for deporting millions of invaders. Now, here's the interesting thing in regards to what Mayor Adams said. So he's been coming out this last few weeks, ever since he got indicted. He's kind of had a bit of a change of tune in terms of some of these things with regards to invaders and this kind of stuff. But he said the other day, and I actually want to take a stab at The Five, which is on Fox also, because they seem to herald this position. And I'm just thinking, this is not right. Mayor Adams is clearly playing the field here. He said in so many words that they will not protect criminals in New York. And he said kind of specifically, we are not going to allow these people that are breaking the law to continue to reside in New York. I'm just like, wait a second. He's ignoring the fact that everyone there that is not a citizen, came across the border illegally, is an invader. They have already broken the law. What he's saying, and this is clear in the way that he said it, there's no ambiguity with this, is there's two separate categories within those people. There are the people that came across the border illegally, but they're minding their P's and Q's. That's basically what he said. So you're going to follow the law, and you're going to be a good person, and you're going to, he didn't define, just not harming others, I guess, is what his intent in saying. Then we're going to leave you alone. But all the other ones who've broken the law, we're going to deport you. Okay, here's my problem with that. Not all of these people will murder or rape someone, but those are the extreme cases. And it absolutely makes me sick to my stomach that we have very little ability to protect ourselves as Americans right now from those invaders doing those kinds of activities. Even worse, with a porous border, and this is the lunacy of the left, what is to stop us from disciplining, deporting someone who has committed a crime and sending them back to their home country? For what? As if their home country is going to hold them accountable? They're going to come marching right back up through the porous border. It's like we're sending them on a temporary vacation because they killed someone, or because they robbed someone, or because they offended someone. There's a thing called the social compact in this country. If you read the Federalist Papers, you read what the intent was from our framers, the social compact is essentially this. You have a Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights are the first 10 amendments in the Constitution. The 7 articles of the Constitution are very structural. It's how the country is to operate. What are some of the functions and forms of the country? The amendments came after. In fact, there was lots of argument about this. They wanted to have a provision for the Constitution to be amended, and they had a vision for the Bill of Rights, but they didn't sign it at the same time, and they didn't seek for the states to approve or to endorse those amendments at the same time as the Constitution. The delegates from the states basically signed the Constitution, and the part of the provision in the Constitution said that each of the state legislatures had to approve each of the amendments that would happen to the Constitution. It's called ratification. And so it was basically in 1791 was when the Bill of Rights was finally ratified. So that means enough states had agreed to it that it became officially part of the Constitution. It's a very interesting process. So my point with that is the framers understood the Bill of Rights. They understood the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the 10th Amendment. They understood all of it. So the 6th, 7th, and 8th Amendments, as in regards especially to criminals and to prosecution, including the 5th Amendment. And it's kind of an odd junk drawer of rights that cover a number of different things. So my point with that is that what is the social compact essentially says this. It says that if you're an American person, everything's going to be fine as long as you respect the rights of every other American person, and you do not offend their rights. You don't offend them physically. You don't offend them mentally. You don't offend whatever their rights are. You don't prevent them from freely living out their rights. And in so doing, you protect your own rights. If you offend the rights of another American, then you give up your rights. That's the way it works. When the police come to arrest you for breaking the law, it is because you have chosen to give up your rights by offending someone else's rights, whether it's a company or a property or person. It's always, we as citizens of America are the only things that have these what are called natural rights. They're codified in the Constitution through our Bill of Rights. As long as you mind your P's and Q's, you will not be prosecuted. You won't be offended. Other people around you won't be offended. We, the people, own the right and the responsibility we own the right to our rights, and we own the responsibility to everyone else's rights. It's up to us to make sure that everyone else's rights are not offended by us. When the police come, this is an interesting little side note. Everybody always thinks the police are the ones that are responsible for keeping the peace and for, making sure people don't break the law or offend other people's rights. That's not true. The police are there to execute justice when someone has offended someone else's rights and they have violated the social compact, which we agreed to as American citizens, like it or not, know it or not. We did when we were born into, or we took American citizenship on. That's now our responsibility. The police are merely there to execute judgment, or for justice for whatever happened. And then, you go through the process. So my point with this is, in rather long-winded fashion, is in New York, the mayor is trying to appease some of the weirdos who want to allow illegal citizens or illegal aliens to remain under the same rights as American citizens, while at the same time deporting those that commit crimes. It's like, you're an idiot. If you commit a crime, what? Here's the problem. If you commit a crime, then you need to go to jail, or you need to have judgment. We need to see, the rest of us deserve justice. Deporting a person who has committed a crime merely means that they can just come back in the country freely and roam around and commit the crime again. And what if that crime means that somebody gets sexually assaulted, somebody gets killed, a piece of that person's property is taken or offended in some way, or that people just generally live in fear, which is an obfuscation of our rights to begin with. The fact that we have to wake up and we feel less safe under Joe Obama than we did under Trump. That's an offense to our rights, an offense to our civil rights across the board. So there's no question. Every single illegal has to be deported, or we do not have justice. We do not have a system. We do not have a rule of law if people who came to this country illegally are not deported. Now, there is humanitarian ways that we can do that deport, and I'm sure that we'll spend millions of dollars making sure that it's done that way. Now, if I was in President Trump's shoes, I would make a phone call or just a proclamation to these countries and say, look, you're going to be held accountable if you don't come and get your people. And when you send your team here to come and get your people, we're going to couple you with some ICE folks, and you're going to help us, and you're going to take care of getting these people back to your country. And if you don't do it, your country is going to be held accountable. If one of your citizens hurts in any way an American citizen, your country will be held accountable, whether it's financial, through sanctions, or lack of what would have been, foreign support that comes from America to many countries around the world. That's what we ought to do. And that's the only right thing to do. And that's exactly what I believe Tom Homan will do. And I believe that's what President Trump wants done. And it's what every single American deserves. And this New York Mayor Adams is just trying to play the field here, saying that, well, we're just going to deport people that break the law. No. You're an idiot. You're probably guilty for whatever crimes you just got indicted for, and it's an embarrassment for America that you're the mayor of one of the greatest cities in the world. They ought to bring Rudy Giuliani back to clean up that city and make it fun again. Make New York great again. Bring Rudy Giuliani back and get rid of this Mayor Eric Adams buffoon who wants to play the field. Even though he's in trouble, likely in trouble for his own stuff, he still wants to try to appease the left and say, well, we're just going to deport people once they commit a crime. Once they hurt an American person, that's the whole problem. As Americans, we don't have the ability to feel safe right now because of these invaders. They need to be deported. And then our borders need to be secured, north and south, all borders, through our airports, through everything. We need to get back to a place of sanity so we can live free and not live in fear here in America. It's very wrong. So anyway, that's my update for today. Appreciate you coming on, and we'll talk to you again soon. God bless you. I'm just looking at some of the comments here real quick before I end this. Liberal loudmouth, good to see you too. Yeah, agreed. He did leave. Mangione left obvious evidence. I didn't talk about that, but yeah, Mangione wanted to get caught, in my belief. He's a very smart young man, and he could have easily done this without leaving a lot of a lot of the evidence that that he did. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I totally agree. We shouldn't be doing preemptive pardons. Yeah, we might be able to challenge the preemptive pardons, Adriana. I'm not sure, but maybe. Let's see. Yeah, FBI informants. Don't get me started on that. I was endorsed by Kash Patel, and I'm so thankful that he's going to be in charge of the FBI. He's going to bring justice. He's going to clean it up. There's a lot of respectable FBI people, but the leadership is horrible. Yeah. Nancy broke her hip? Wow. I guess I knew Nancy Pelosi was in the hospital. I've got somebody saying here that she broke her hip. Let's see. Yeah, Terminator was a documentary. That's funny. Totally. We're almost there. Yeah, that when you combine what's happening with robots, and then you understand the AI, AGI, and ASI, oh my goodness, it changes everything. So yeah, basically we could be potentially looking at a pretty crazy world ahead where we've got. I don't even want to go into this because I think you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but if you think about this. So AI is artificial intelligence. We know that. AGI is artificial general intelligence, meaning that it's kind of like us, like it's sort of general. We're not there yet. They're saying we're within a year we should be at AGI, where an AI system can essentially think like an average human, right? ASI, they're saying we're about 5 years away. I don't know if it's that far or not, but ASI would be like AI being able to think and reason as well as the smartest human to ever live. And then when you start to think about the scale of this, and you think about what they're doing with robotics and drones, and then you put that intelligence into those robots and drones, okay, I'll just let you run with it. I got bounced out of there, but I'll talk about AI more on a future discussion. But thanks everybody for coming on today.